Hello, and welcome back to Myst. At the end of the last video, I was pretty uncertain about whether or not we were going to continue playing this, but the response was pretty much universally positive. So, thank you all so much. I'm so glad you enjoyed the last video. We're definitely going to continue playing this game through to the end. And if you're still interested, once we finish this game, we might move on to the sequels as well. So yeah, thank you all so much. Let's continue. Today, we're going to be exploring the age of Channelwood. I think it's actually spelled with a lowercase w, but oh well. So we're going to start by exploring around the age and just kind of taking a look at our surroundings. We've got here some kind of motor with a lever, but pulling it doesn't seem to do anything. We can see some more paths across this gap here. We do see a pipe leading up to the motor, and if we look around, we can see there is a whole network of pipes leading around this ground level of platforms. And if we look down, we can see at each junction there is a valve, which allows us to change the flow of whatever these pipes redirect. Over here we can see the pipes have a gap here. And at the other side of this junction, we can see another motor, as well as a box with a rope on it, so some kind of elevator. And if we hit the switch inside, there is no response. So presumably we need to get this motor running before we can use the elevator. Let's continue exploring some more. We'll follow the pipes. We've got another junction here, leading to another motor and a door, which we cannot open. So, let's go down here, which seems to be the source of where all the pipes are leading. And we'll climb this little pathway here. And at the top, we've got some sort of, I'm not sure what you call it, not like a refinery, but we can see here pipes leading into the water and some kind of mechanism here. The pipes are leading into this large tank. If we hold this, we can see the flow of water stops. And down here we've got a valve. If we turn the valve, the sound of the flow of water gets a little bit louder. And if we actually go down here, you can now hear the sound of the water stays with us because the water is now flowing through the pipes. So let's follow the pipes. And a lot of the puzzles in this age are going to involve this water pipe system. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to map it out. So we'll start here let's start from the bottom. I think it'll be easier to do that since we're in first person. So we'll start. The pipes come from here. This is the source. And then we've got our first junction. This way leads to motor and door. let's just redirect the water in this direction. We can hear the motor is now running, but we still can't open the door, so the motor apparently does not control the door. Let's go back here. We'll follow this path. And I'm not going to try to make like an absolute perfect map. I think I'm just going to map out the junctions. I'll try my best, actually. So let's continue down the path. This goes over here. And then we've got another junction. Let's follow this left path. Comes over like this. And then another junction. And this left path here leads to a dead end. So we'll put a cross there. Let's go back down here. This goes over to the right and comes over to the left like this and leads to that motor. So we're probably going to want to redirect water to this at some point. And we can see these paths actually connect here. So let's go back to this point, which was right here. And this goes down, and we can see this path from here. Reconnect. Actually, is that where it reconnects? No, not quite. It does something like this. And then there's another junction where it reconnects like that. And then this is a dead end. And then this side goes down. There's another junction like that, where there is a gap. And then over this way, we've got another path leading to a motor and an elevator. Sorry if this is a little small and hard to see on the camera. I know the camera isn't very good quality. I'm not using my phone camera for this. I'm just using a pretty cheap webcam. So let's see if we can redirect the water over to this elevator. So we'll go back here. This is this point right here. So we're going to make the water go over to the left like that. And now we're here. We want the water to go to the right. We want it to go to the right again. And to the right again. We can hear the motor going. Let's hop in, pull the switch. And we are on the treetop level, where the village is. So we can see some tree huts. Pretty cool, although some of them seem to not be in very good shape. And of course, there is absolutely nobody up here. In Atris's journal, he talked about a thriving village of tree dwellers, but there do not seem to be any here anymore. So they were driven away by something or someone. And it looks like we found a switch right here. We can see that spiral staircase that we saw from the ground level. And if we pull this switch, we can see we opened up a door over there. It's kind of hard to tell because it's so far away, but what we did was actually open up a door. So we're going to ignore that for now. Let's continue exploring the treetop level. And this treetop village is a little bit of a maze. It can be tough to navigate around without getting lost. I do like seeing all of these neat huts, although some of them are definitely not in the best shape. We'll continue exploring. We've got some pottery. I like the hanging pots. Some more huts. I believe this goes back to where we came from, so let's explore in this direction instead. We've got a long rope bridge here leading to the door that we opened, and another elevator, but the elevator does not have power, so doing the switch does nothing. But let's climb down the spiral staircase. And at the bottom we've got a door. This was the locked door, and you can see now we've opened it from this side. So now we can go up and down the stairs as we wish. So now we actually know that this motor right here powers the elevator directly above. So let's go over here and redirect the water to this motor right here. The motor is running. Let's climb back up the stairs. And once we get to the top, we'll get in the elevator and press the switch. And now we ascend to an even higher level of the treetop village. And we've got two ways we can go here, a path to the left and a path to the right. Let's start with the path to the right. So we've got a gate which we can open and close. I'm not really sure what the point of that is. We may as well just leave it open. And we've got another door here leading into a strange looking room. We've got a strange hologram of, I'm not sure if you recognized him outside of the book, but that was actually Akinar. So a weird hologram of Akinar speaking presumably the language of the tree dwellers that we read about in the journal, because Atris wrote that the brothers were learning the language of the tree dwellers. And we've got a strange contraption here, and if we click on it, it does not look like a very friendly contraption, so I'm not sure what exactly Akinar was up to in this place. But certainly not anything good, from what I can imagine. Now, let's exit out the back. If we go this way, this is actually the way we came. That's the gate again. So let's go this way instead. And we've got a pretty bare bones living quarters here. Not much in it, except two things over here. First, we've got our first blue page. So if we want, we can bring this back to Akinar and help working towards freeing him from the book. So, if you remember, Akinar wanted us to bring him blue pages, so we can bring this to him if we want. We've also got a strange device here. Let's click on some of these buttons. This is actually the same recording that we just saw, and this seems to be some kind of imager, kind of similar to the one on Myst Island. We can press some other buttons. Looks like the same kind of thing. And let's do the third button. And surely there's no point in pressing the last button, right? Because it's probably just more of the same.
I hope I pushed the right button, my dear brother. What a very interesting device you have here. I'm not erasing anything important, am I? Remember, he is preparing. Take only one page, my dear brother.
Okay, that was Cirrus. Says he is preparing. Take only one page. I'm not really sure what he's talking about yet, but perhaps it will come clear as we progress through the game. And here's the other path. We've got a much nicer looking room here. Let's take a look around this area. We've got what appears to be either rotten food or some kind of cheese, maybe. I don't know. But whatever it is, it looks fancy. We've got some bottles, maybe full of some kind of nice wine. An empty drawer. Looks like this room has kind of been ransacked a bit too. We can see the windmill outside the window. That was where we turned on the water. We've got some writing implements and whatever this is. Another drawer, and hey, would you look at that? In the drawer we have a red page. And we pick up the red page, the blue page goes back to where we got it. Our character is only capable of holding one page at a time for some reason, but so we can't take both pages with us, we have to pick one, but after we pick one and take it back, we can return here if we want and get the other page, which is actually what we're going to do. I think in this playthrough we're going to get all of the blue and red pages, just because getting those pages unlocks new dialogue with Cirrus and Akinar, and we want to see all the dialogue, so. Over here we've got a bed with two drawers underneath. Under one is a knife. And in the other drawer we have another piece of paper alongside some more bottles. And this is a ripped piece of paper, but seems to have some interesting information on it. So let's write this down. We'll kind of draw a little half note here. And it seems to say CH Vault Access. And it's presumably Island of Myst. It says aided. And I have to draw a little smaller for this. I should have made this bigger, so I had a more, actually I'm gonna erase this right edge here and make it longer so that I have more room to write. I can write a little bigger so it's more visible, although I don't have that much vertical space, so let's also make it taller so that I have more vertical space to work with as well. That way I can draw a little bit bigger. So in very plain view on Myst and access can be easily if the simple followed, presumably that says followed first locate. Looks like I'm still not going to have enough room to write all this, so I'll just put the extra information over here on the right. Locate switches. So something to do with the marker switches. It says these switches to the, it says, and go to the dock and it says turn the marker switch, and it says the off position. So that is a very important clue that we will be referencing much later in the game. And we've got a sink over here. And what looks to be a toothbrush. But that's actually all there is to explore in this room. So let's go back to the elevator and make our way back down to the second level. Now we can go back down the stairs. And there are still a few things we have not worked out on this age yet. Let's redirect the water to go this way. If you remember, there was a motor with a switch on it. Let's redirect the water to go to that motor. Now the water's over here. The motor is running. Let's pull the switch. And we raise a bridge. The bridge will take us to this other side of the age that we have not been able to access yet. And we've got another elevator with a motor. But how do we get the water over here? Well, we had this gap right here, but there's actually a crank here. If we rotate the crank, we extend the pipe over to the other side, and now we can redirect the water through this pipe to power this elevator. So let's go do that. So we redirect the pipe, and we redirect that one. Now the water is flowing through the extended pipe. Let's go back to where we were. And we'll get in the elevator. And we've got a Myst book. So here we are, we're back in the library. So let's give Cirrus his red page.
Return. Thank you for bringing the red page. You must continue. My name is Cirrus. I beg you to find the remaining red pages. You must release me from this book which has become. I need more red pages, please. Beg. It's time. Look. Don't. My brother. And I wrongfully imprisoned. Bring the red page to me.
Alright, so he wants us to bring him more red pages, and he says that his brother is guilty and that he was wrongfully imprisoned. We're going to go back into the age and get the blue page as well and see what Akinar has to say. Cirrus told us not to waste our time with the blue book, but we're going to do it anyways. We're going to hear both sides of the story. Now, the idea of the game is that you pick one of the two brothers to side with, and depending on who you choose to free from their book, you get a different ending. So, we're gonna have to hear them out, hear their stories, see which one we find more convincing, and make our decision. So far, Cirrus seems to be... He seems a little more stable, at least. Let's go back into Channelwood. Alright. Now, we will redirect the water to the elevator again. Back up the spiral staircase. Into the elevator. And Akinar's page was not this way. It was the other way. So let's grab the blue page now. And we'll return once again to the Myst book. And we'll reverse the flow of the water again. Back across the bridge. And into the Myst book once again. Let's give Akinar his page. Let's see what he's got to say.
He returned. He wouldn't pretend. These pages rescue me. I'm Akinar. My brother, I beg you. To be complete. Always blue pages. Listen to him. Now listen to my brother. He's a fool and a liar. Bring me the blue pages. The red ones. Don't bring the red ones. I implore you. I've been wrongfully imprisoned. You must leave. I will have my retribution. Please bring me
So both brothers seem to believe that they've been wrongfully imprisoned, and they're both telling us not to trust the other brother. But we have completed the Age of Channelwood. It is now time to get ready to enter the next age. So let's go back to the map. And we're gonna do this one next. This one, if you don't remember, this was the sunken ship on the dock. So let's open the path to the tower. We're gonna go back down the secret passage, back into the elevator, and we go up the ladder, and we can see the sunken ship on the dock. So now we go behind the elevator again, and we see our key. October 11th, 1984, 10:04 a.m. January 17th, 12:07, 5:46 a.m. and November 23rd, 9791, 6:57 a.m. So these correspond to the observatory that we saw in the first part, where you can choose a date and time and view the stars, the position of the stars. So we're going to be looking at the observatory, but before we go over to the observatory, we're going to have our second installment of Story Time with Atris. So we're going to be looking at the second journal. So once again, I will include a timestamp if you want to skip the reading and go straight to the puzzle solving. The book we're going to be reading this time is this one right here. Emmett was the first to live on the rocks. He named them the rocks because that is what they were, a group of sharp rocks clustered together in the middle of a large sea. This was where Emmett lived. He enjoyed his life. Emmett would occasionally swim to nearby rocks, as it was never too far of a distance. One day, another person appeared on the rocks, for no apparent reason to Emmett. Emmett named this new person Branch. Emmett and Branch quickly became friends. Swimming and hunting for fish together often, Emmett showed Branch the simple cave in which he lived on the largest rock. Soon, Branch discovered a place where he decided to live, also on the same large rock. The sun always shone brightly in their world, and the water was always dazzlingly clear, allowing them to see almost to the deep ocean floor which surrounded them. Though the sun always shone, it was never too hot for the boys. A light breeze always came from the north and cooled the area down. One day, while Branch was swimming and having fun in the water, he noticed another boy swimming. Branch brought the new boy to Emmett to find out what to call the new boy. Emmett said the boy should be called Will. Will was soon part of the group, and all three of the boys swam and enjoyed their perfect world. At least, that is the story I was told when I arrived today on the island. Emmett, Branch, and Will were surprised to see me at first, but even before the night ended, we were all becoming good friends. Today, the second day on this newly created age, a strange thing happened. It was not strange to me, but the three boys did not understand what was happening. While I was relaxing under a large tree on one of the smaller rock islands, it began to rain. It was a nice rain that lasted for about an hour in the morning. I explained to the boys that the rain was not harmful, yet they obviously still feared it. Before going to sleep tonight, I told the boys I would leave the following day. I told them that while I was gone, I would make a surprising change in their world. They didn't understand, not that I expected them to. I still do not understand what happened today. I was experimenting with the art, testing the limits of the rules as dictated to me by Father. I attempted to create a boat by writing it into the world. I thought everything was planned correctly, yet somehow the boat had become gripped by the rock and broken in half. Although this test did not turn out as I had hoped, I now have answers to a few of the questions my father never answered. As for the boat, I can see the boys enjoy it anyways, and with that I am pleased. They have played on it all day. Even though the boat cannot move, I have enjoyed studying from it. It is a much sturdier platform than the jagged rocks. In the course of my observations, I have learned some very interesting things regarding the solar system of this age. The nights are absolutely beautiful here. I have made note of and named a number of constellations that pass above me. Also during the night, I catch glimmers of light from the horizon, which I have not been able to discover if it is created by some natural phenomenon or by additional people on far-off islands or rocks. I should very much like to discover which. I rather suspect it is additional people, which would explain the appearance of Branch and Will. The rain today was slightly heavier than usual. Just when the boys were getting used to the light rains, a small storm arrived. They were frightened of the heavier rain, not to mention the thunder and lightning. If rain has never fallen here until recently, as the boys tell me, I would like to discover why it is falling now. Regardless, I've decided to return home for a short while. I've been thinking of some plans for a lighthouse that I hope to construct soon. I think that perhaps by shining a bright light towards the horizon, it might prove my suspicions regarding additional inhabitants. They would be curious about the light and travel to discover its source, if they have the means. I returned with many tools that I will need for construction of the lighthouse. I've decided that once the lighthouse is completed, I will leave for some time and let the world's own imagination have control. We have worked 3 weeks on the lighthouse now and are making great progress. The rock that we are building on seems to not be as secure as I would like. I've had to alter my plans slightly, but those alterations pose no real problem. The boys are quite strong and have been helping me immensely. I estimate construction will be done within 2 days. The lighthouse is finished and we are all proud of our creation. The boys are amazed at the structure wrought from rock with their own hands. That evening, we powered up the generator, much to the boys' dread at first, and shined a great light to the horizon for many hours. I stayed the night in the top of the lighthouse, and in the morning awoke to observe the sunrise without being coated with the chilly blanket of ocean dew I had become accustomed to. It was Will who first saw the girl. She was swimming not far from the boat where Will was getting ready to hunt for fish. Then Will noticed a man not far away from the girl. Emmett was very pleased to meet the additional neighbors. I feel pleased to leave this age. I have set in motion events that have nothing to do with writing or the art, that will have a more profound impact on this world than I could have ever written. I think we've got Stoneship Age. I think of it this age as a gift to myself that I will wrap up and open someday in the future, only to discover that it has changed so much that indeed it is a surprise. Besides, I have yet another new age that awaits me. It seems I'm going to need some way to travel underwater in this new age, and so much planning is in order. It has been 10 years since I left this age, which I have since called the Stoneship Age. Upon returning, I cannot believe the changes that have taken place. The original 3 boys have grown into adults, and there are many new faces that I do not recognize. Branch told me that it has not rained for 7 years, and the cool breezes are back again. They're all very content, and have been serving me with new foods and showing me new materials they have discovered. It even seems they have found gold somewhere. I see it in many forms around the island. My lighthouse has been kept in perfect condition, and it looks as if they have tried their very best to keep it so. Yet I have noted that the entire rock it was built on has sunk approximately 40 or 50 centimeters. After a wonderful visit with my old friends, I wonder aloud with them what things will be like here in another 10 years. So that was the journal on the stone chip age. And now we've got some constellations, which we will draw. And I just realized I never wrote down the dates and times. So I'm just going to cut back to the tower quickly, where I will write them down. Okay, so we've got October 11, 1984, 10:04 a.m. Then we've got January 17th, 12:07, 5:46 a.m. And finally, we've got November 23, 97, 91, 6:57 p.m. Okay, now back to the book. So now we need to write down these constellations. So let's draw these down. So this first one is Anchor. I made that C way too big. Anchor. And it looks like we have 3 bright stars in a triangle shape. And then we have some smaller stars dotted like this. And I don't know how well the smaller stars are going to show up on the camera. Let's go to the next one. We have an eye-shaped constellation. This one is pretty simple. We've got a small star, 2 big stars in the middle, and then another small star like that. Next, we've got that's not a very good square. Snake constellation. In this one, we've got an upside down triangle of 3 big stars, and then some small stars like this. Our next constellation is a beetle. This one is a little more complicated. We've got some big stars like this, and a kind of medium-shaped star right there, and then small stars in sort of this shape. You can kind of see the beetle shape to that one. Now we've got a cross constellation. We've got 4 big stars, 1 in each cardinal direction. And then smaller stars, 1 in the middle, 1 down here by the lower star, and then 1 up here by the upper star. Now we've got, oh, I forgot to put a cross. Then we've got an arrow constellation. We've got 2 big stars like this, then some small stars up here, and some small stars down here. Then we've got looks like a flamingo. I'm just gonna put bird. And it looks like we've got 3 big stars like this. 1 star there, that's supposed to be the beak, I guess. 1 down here, and then 3 stars over here. And finally, our last constellation is a leaf. I just realized you might not be able to see this one. I'll push the notebook up a little bit so you can see it. And this one is a triangle like this, for the 3 leaves, and then we've got smaller stars that make up the stem and base. So there we go, those are our constellations. Now we're going to leave the library. We're going to go over to the observatory, and let's enter in those dates that we found. Let's start with, I'm already on October, so let's do the first one, October 11th. And we need 1984. And it is 10:04 a.m. And we'll push the button, and that is the Maple Leaf constellation. So let's circle the leaf. Let's enter the second date in. It was January 17th, 12:07. And the time was 10:04. No, that was the first one. 5:46 a.m. Now let's see what we get here. That is... which one is that? That is the Snake constellation. So let's circle the snake. And our last date is November 23rd. 9791. There we go. We didn't have to click so many times for that one. And the time is 6:51. Or sorry, 6:57 p.m. And we'll click the button. This one's taking a while to get to. And that is the Beetle constellation. So we've got the Snake, Beetle, and Leaf constellations. Now you might have recognized those symbols from the constellations. Those symbols were over here on these boxes. So as you might have figured out by this point, what we need to do is we need to find the 3 boxes that correspond to the constellations that we just found and click them. So there's the leaf, we click the leaf, it turns green. There's the arrow, we don't want that one. There's the anchor, the beetle, we do want to click that one. And the snake. And we hear the sound of something moving through water. And hey, would you look at that? The ship that was in the pool has just risen to the top, and now it's floating. So, let's go over to the dock, and you can see now the sunken ship at the dock has risen to the top of the water, and now we can climb aboard. And we've got a door here. We open the door, and there is a book. And this is the book leading to the Stone Ship Age. This is going to be the next age that we're going to explore. I'll let the little flyby do its thing. But we're not going to be exploring this age in this video. We're going to be saving that for the next video. So as you can probably guess, we're going to be doing 1 age per video. And here we are in the Stone Ship Age. So that's going to be it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you're finding this game interesting. If you've never played it, Or if you have played it, I hope you're finding my sort of commentary relaxing. I love this game so much. This is the sort of a game that people will tell you that once you've played it once, it's hard to enjoy it the same way again once you kind of know all the mysteries. And while I would say that that's probably true, I still never get tired of playing this game. Every single time I play it, I always have a good time and enjoy exploring the worlds. And even though I've solved the puzzles, you know, 100 times, maybe not quite 100, but I still get enjoyment out of it. So, yeah. But that's going to be it. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a good night, and I hope you'll join me again for our next installment of Myst. Thanks.